Welcome. If you're a woman who has a sense that there's more out there for you, you're in the right place. I'm Whitney Baker, host of the Electric Ideas podcast. Somewhere along the line of work and kids, life carried on, but I lost track of my truth. I'm on a reflective journey, and that's what this podcast is all about. Each week, I interview a woman who is lighting her own path and offering others hope. Before our conversation ends, we'll share a reflective question for you to explore. Sometimes all we need is a jolt, a fresh idea, an aha moment that connects us to a sense of possibility. This, my friends, is what I call an electric idea. Welcome back to Electric Ideas. Today, I'm joined by Sandy Thinez, founder of Beauty Flow, as seen on Yahoo Lifestyle and The Good Face Project. Sandy started her career in the beauty industry in 2002 and then spent 13 years as the Midwest regional trainer of artistry and education for MAC Cosmetics. And she really saw it all in her 20 plus years in the beauty industry. She worked at New York Fashion Week and on a bunch of production sets. She's also got great stories about glamming up the likes of Lady Gaga, Jared Leto, and the New York Housewives, to name a few. She's trained and led hundreds of makeup artists and beauty leadership teams. But at some point in Sandy's journey, she realized that women who shine the most have beauty that comes from deeply within. So she went on to add to her background and become a certified integrative nutrition health coach and mindset coach. Today, she's an expert on how women can look and feel their best from the inside out. She loves to talk about the gut-mind-skin connection and in general, how women can align their inner and outer worlds with daily wellness and beauty routines that allow them to age well. This is such a great conversation for any woman who's looking to optimize her vitality and live well longer. I know you're going to have a ton of takeaways. Enjoy. Hi, Sandy. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is really exciting for me.
I've had a chance to get to know you a little bit, and I kind of see you as someone who plays in this intersection of beauty, lifestyle, and mindset, and can definitely drop knowledge on what women can do to put their best foot forward. But you're also deeply entrenched in this idea of beauty from the inside out. And one of the things you've talked about a lot that really resonates me is your philosophy of beauty being a byproduct of our inner world. Can you start by grounding us with just broad strokes kind of into your philosophy?
Yeah. I've been immersed in beauty culture for over 20 years as a professional makeup artist. And one of the most profound lessons I have learned in the thousands of interactions I've had with women is that we can always cover up cracks in the wall. But if there's cracks in the foundation, we're going to need a lot of plaster to cover up all those cracks. And one of the things that beauty culture is really good at is showcasing how visual beauty is without showcasing how deep-seated and layered it is on the inside. Your inner world is a direct reflection of your outer world. And so if you wanted to age well naturally, if you wanted to clear your skin, if you want to love what you see in the mirror, it all starts with how are you nourishing your microbiome and digestion to operate properly so your skin glows. It starts with how are you strengthening your emotional fitness and deepening the connection with yourself to love what you see in the mirror. And yeah, it also includes all of those amazing lotions and potions and skincares. That's part of the equation. But the inner work and the inner world, when that foundation is strong and you have an unshakable ground to stand on, it naturally unfolds in your outer world and the way you look. And that's something the beauty industry doesn't tell you because they can't sell that to you. That's just something that comes from within. That's free.
I love that thought about something they can't sell to you, because something that's been catching my eye a lot kind of in the beauty conversation is swapping the term pro-aging out for anti-aging. And it's so simple, but I've had this deeper realization maybe over the past couple of years about how much time and energy and research as even as a country, we've put into longevity and living longer. And I'm curious what you think about that and talking to clients about living better longer, feeling vibrant in our lives now, but also looking at the big picture and knowing that we're making an investment.
It's about your health span. Lifespan is how long you live, but your health span is how many of those years are you healthy and how many of those years are you vibrant? And we have so much technology right now and so much research that's giving us information on how to elongate that health span. So a lot of people are feeling more energized as they're getting older. Like at 42, I have more energy than I did at 22, and we're getting all of this amazing information. So I think women right now are at a place where what they see in the mirror isn't matching up with how they feel on the inside. And so we're turning to all of these alternative solutions for beauty to kind of match up. But if we can actually work smarter, not harder, and go for the lowest hanging fruit, which is building a beautiful foundation in our inner worlds, it actually lines up and you'll start to see those parallels coming together so much better.
That makes a lot of sense. And speaking of just foundational things, I want to circle back. When I talked to you a little bit about your philosophy, you mentioned our gut health. And I know that this is central to what you teach. So you emphasize the gut mind skin connection. I have thought a lot about our brain gut connection, but I think a lot of women think about glowing skin and they think more about the external products that they're using versus what they're doing
Yeah.
in other areas of our lives. So tell us about it. What have you learned?
Okay. So it's no shock that that's what women have learned because that's what our culture and the women before us have taught us, because that's what the information that we only had was that it was all skincare, lotions, and potions. But what we are seeing is that your gut and your brain, we know, are on the same central nervous system. They're on the same line, they're on the same telephone line, but your skin is also on that same line. So when your digestion is operating properly, you're going to see that fortified in the skin appearance and your clarity of your skin and your ability to build elastin and collagen in the skin. When your mind is in a higher frequency, or when you're in your higher mind and you're having more coherence in your thoughts, your body is able to produce healthier hormones that affect the clarity of your skin. So, like, for example, when we get a spike of cortisol and adrenaline, what happens in the body is that your blood is like, we know we're in our nervous system is activated, our blood is rushing to our limbs to help us fight, flight, or freeze, and it's being extracted from our non-essentials, which is our hair, skin, and nails. So what ends up happening is our collagen and elastin starts to break down. So when you're in a season of stress, or when you're in a season of discomfort, or a season of go, 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 you look in the mirror and all of a sudden you start to see this version of yourself that you might not recognize, or, like, quote unquote, I hear women always say, I look haggard, right? When you hear those words, are you in a season of stress? Are you in a season of being a new mom? Are you in a season of the holidays? Are you in these various different seasons? That's all connected and it's all correlated. And then same thing with the gut. When you are indulging in foods that don't support your microbiome, we usually see that come in the form of acne or something on our face, right? And so all of these systems are working together. But it also comes from the outside in. So when you see yourself and you don't recognize or love what you see in the mirror, or you have like a little bout of eczema or psoriasis or some acne, all of a sudden you get triggered and activated in your nervous system and in your mindset, right? And then that impacts what's going on in your gut. So then you end up perhaps indulging in foods that probably are highly palatable but don't really serve you. And then now we're on this cycle. So that's why everything is super connected. So when we ultimately break the cycle with either the gut and the mind, we'll start to see that cycle break in our bodies and our skin, and we start to see everything to come aligned. So I always tell people, like, if you can align 2 out of the 3, the other one usually comes along.
So give me an example when you work with clients of maybe an aha moment they have when they're saying, I look haggard and I don't know, I feel like I'm doing all of the things, where you've had this type of intervention and they all of a sudden realize, oh my gosh, this is more simple than I thought it was?
It's usually when I ask them what tools are they employing to regulate their nervous system. That is the one thing that, and I know you see this in your community, like a lot of women are not given the tools on how to regulate our nervous system because almost always we didn't have a good example of a woman who did that before us. Because especially moms were made to be sort of the martyrs, were made to serve everyone around us, but not feel comfortable taking that time for ourselves. So once we start to break down that belief on being able to make space for ourselves and understanding the tools to regulate the nervous system, women will have a harder time. So once they get there and they're like, oh my gosh, these are simple practices that I can employ to regulate my nervous system that help soothe my stress response. So I'm not reacting to stress, I'm responding to stress because the stress is always going to be there. How I respond to it, it looks a little different. Those are the skills that are the biggest aha moments for my clients because it is such a huge part to your beauty story. The way that you age is a direct reflection of your inner world, but your thoughts are a huge part to your inner world. So that's like the
Mm.
number one aha moment. And so one of the most important interventions and foundational beauty tools I use in my practice is meditation, hands down. Meditation has been the number one practice to, I literally call it, it's a moisturizer in a bottle. Like if you were to bottle up moisturizer in a wellness practice, it's meditation, hands down. Because of the way that it helps to regulate the nervous system and it allows you to practice shifting your mindset and becoming more aware. Meditation is one of those things that really help you to deepen the relationship with yourself, and that strengthening that connection is such a huge part of the beauty story because women who really have that strong connection with themselves become more magnetizing. And then when they become more magnetizing to the people around them, they just start to glow with this alignment. And it's just so beautiful.
I resonate with everything you're saying. As you know, I teach meditation, and there is an underground in the meditation world conversations that I've been a part of where when I talk about meditation, I don't talk about it from a beauty perspective, but people talk about having feelings of reverse aging and all the things. So,
Yeah, if I can add to that, because this is the thing that got me, that hooked, line, and sinkered me, is meditation as a beauty tool. So when they have done brain scans of advanced meditators, their brains are biologically younger than their chronological age, sometimes by a decade. And so when our brain is biologically younger, we're going to feel younger, we're going to act younger, we're going to see things with more youthful vigor, we're actually going to present more youthful as well. But this is also the part that I love. So we all have these caps at the end of our chromosomes called telomeres. And telomeres shorten as we age, which slows down the skin cycle and it creates aging appearance, right? Meditation has been proven to actually elongate telomeres. So we are essentially biologically turning the clock backwards in our body, in our biology, in our DNA, in our cells, just through meditation, which is insane. And also the way that it calms the nervous system, we're seeing a higher content in transepidermal water loss. So that slows down. So as we age, that picks up where we lose moisture in our bodies and in our skin. But as we are seeing with meditation, it's allowing that to come back a little bit faster. So this is why when people start to meditate, they actually look as though they're aging backwards and that they're building more moisture content. They're building collagen with calming their nervous system and activating the parasympathetic nervous system. That is how we're starting to see that as a beauty tool. I wish someone would have told me this in my 20s. I had to wait till my 30s to find out this information. And it's such an exciting time to really start diving into this. If you're a woman who's starting to see yourself age, like these are the tools that not only make you look better, but they make you live better
absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
as
And
well.
I found often with my clients that they are working on eating well. They kind of know the basics there. They're probably moving in some capacity, but they often are completely negating their stress. And then they're wondering why they don't have energy. They don't feel like themselves. They feel disconnected. And so I absolutely Agree. Huge fan of meditation over here. I'm wondering what else for you, because there's nothing wrong with a woman wanting to look good. But I think that there's also people who we encounter who have that like sparkle in their eyes and that healthy glow and that energy about them that has nothing to do with their lipstick shade or, like you said, I like how you said lotions and potions. So, what are some of the other lifestyle changes that you've explored that have really shifted the trajectory for you in your own wellness journey?
There are 5 things that I tell women that will shift the way you look. The first is, we already talked about this, how you metabolize stress. How do you strengthen your emotional fitness? So that's the first. We've talked about that. The second is, how do you nourish your body with foods and minerals? That is huge. And so when I talk about that, I really get hyper focused on how we're supporting the microbiome and how we're supporting ourselves with essential minerals and nutrients. So, like protein, fiber, greens, fats, those are such huge building blocks to a woman's health. The third is sleep. It's like the one vitamin that we could give ourselves that truly helps to regenerate, repair our cells, not just from a metabolic perspective, but also in our beauty and the way we look and then the way we age. The next is movement. There is no better medicine than movement for so many reasons that are really obvious to most of us, right? To stay healthy, to stay fit, sure, but also to move stagnant energy in our body and also for lymphatic drainage. So, our lymph nodes are basically our detoxification center. This is where we want to get rid of waste. We want to move it through our body so that we can have an optimal functioning body. The issue with the lymph nodes is that it doesn't move on its own. It needs to be moved by us. And so there's a couple ways to do that. Dry brushing is one of my favorite ways to do that. And I coach that all the time to my clients. But simple movement and working out moves the lymphatic drainage. Gua sha, face yoga, those are things that do that for the face. But really, just overall movement, there's no better way to chug from the fountain of youth than to just move, the way it brings oxygen to the body and to the skin. And then the last way is your connections, your relationships. Who around you is your like conscious support system? Who around you are you deepening these rich relationships with? Those are the people who have deep relationships, who feel connected, who feel part of something. They're the ones that you'll notice that have the biggest sparkle in their eyes. The ones who actually share love. Because one of the reasons why us women play this beauty game is to love and be loved, is to feel love, is to feel desired, is to feel attraction. And I don't mean that necessarily romantically, just in general, just to feel love. So when we share love and we give love and we receive love through connections, that fulfills a huge part of us as humans, but as women in our feminine energy. That connection also rolls over to the connection with ourselves, which is
Mm.
a complete relationship that sometimes women take for granted that that's a relationship. And almost always, it's the most volatile relationship we have in general is the one we have with ourselves. We're more mean and more abusive to ourselves than to anybody else we could ever imagine to be. And so that's a relationship that needs to be cultivated, just like you and a best friend. So as those connections are huge. And one of the things that I see in women is that we accept this version of ourselves and we accept the version that talks poorly about ourselves or is self-deprecating because we see that in women. Like some women have a fear of being conceited or to being so, full of themselves. That's a moral fear that was programmed into us. And when we can start to break down that barrier and that belief and really start to develop that deep loving relationship with ourselves, we start to show our light and shed it on everyone else. And I'm a firm believer that it takes one person to build a rippling effect into the collective. It takes one person to shift the beauty culture, to shift the way we see ourselves, and that rippling effect will get into the collective. And so if I love myself more and I can develop that relationship with myself, it makes it easier for you to do that and for my daughter to do that. and for that woman next to me to do that. And then that's how we start a rippling shift in the collective.
Beautiful. You covered a lot of beautiful lessons in that list of five. So I want to circle back to a few things. But first of all, since we just chatted about it, what's coming up to me in terms of number five with relationship and relationship to self? I think that's such an important point because it's easy for women to get their ego involved and feel like they're being vain if they want to take care of themselves and even present and, get ready for the day and put makeup on and do their hair. And the way I've talked to my daughters about it is that it's for me. It's for my energy because when I feel really good, I'm in a better place to share that energy with others. I'm more likely to say yes to a beautiful invitation. I'm more likely to talk to somebody random and maybe make a new friend or a new connection or help somebody. And so it's not about needing to look a certain way or fit in because of perceptions of other people. It's because I have enough self-worth and self-love to take care of myself. And I also kind of see it as a responsibility. As a mother, I want to give that energy. Do you grapple with that?
Oh my God, beyond grapple with that. One of the things that I would say is that specifically for talking about daughters, they're always listening. They're listening to the language that we're speaking about ourselves and that we're speaking about other people. So I'm always mindful about how do I share with my daughter that it's okay to have a loving relationship with yourself. And it's important not to judge other women. As I'm in this industry, it's very apparent how much women are either judging themselves or low key judging other women. And so, one of the things that I help my clients to see is like when you're getting ready for the day, or if you have the desire to want to present yourself in the best way possible, do it in the frequency of love for yourself. Don't do it in the vibration of doing something because you're afraid of what will happen when you don't do it. So there is this element of beauty where, and this is not a judgment by any means. This is said with a lot of love, but there are women who will do invasive procedures because they're afraid of what will happen if they don't do it. They're afraid of not receiving love, not having worth, and not being able to give permission to love themselves if they don't do that. And that vibration, that frequency, you can feel and you can see it. You can see it. But if that's going to help them in whatever journey they're on, that's their journey. But you can see when women engage in beauty from a place of, I'm doing this because it makes me feel good and it's going to make me show my light and share my light with the world much easier, then you can see that alignment. You can see that radiance. There's a
Mhm.
difference, and it's all in the intention behind how you're playing in the beauty world. And then there's a group of women that's just like, I just need to look alive. I just need to get out the door, right? We are all going to have these seasons. We're all going to have these different fluctuations of how we're relating to beauty because beauty is so complex. The reality is, and it's deep seated, it's layered, and we're going to approach it different from every day, every season, every year, every generation, or every decade that we're in. You're going to see it change a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's what is the intention? Is it because it's going to make you feel better and you're going to be able to share your light much easier? Or are you doing it because you're afraid of what's going to happen when you don't?
I love that distinction because it's so clear that one is almost celebratory and high vibe, and one comes from a place of fear and lack, which no matter what you do, if you don't overcome that, you're not going to shine at full watts, in my opinion. So I do want to be realistic about this because, yes, there's no amount of makeup that's going to cover up people not feeling great or not taking care of themselves. But there are seasons, especially for moms, where for reasons we are straight up tired, and I just want
Yeah.
to keep it real with that. So while we want to age well and take care of ourselves, sometimes I think we are open to like Sandy's quick tricks and solve. So, I think it's okay to keep the conversation balanced. Like if somebody is just like, I'm going through a season and right now I don't have a ton of, I say a low capacity season is what I call it. And it's just an acknowledgement and almost from a sense of self-compassion that it's not like, I don't know why I'm here. It's just I'm accepting that this is a low capacity season and you want to look alive. What are some wellness or even makeup, because that is your past and it's a beautiful, rich area of wisdom for you. If we just want to look a little alive, what should we do?
Oh my God. Listen, I'm a working mom. I have 2 kids also. I've got businesses to run. So the low capacity, it's almost like it's just going to weave itself into your life as a mom. It just is. So let's break this up into sections. So from a makeup perspective, the best things you can do to make yourself look alive is to get yourself an SPF. So that way it helps your skin to not get any sort of pigmentation issues. It helps with it. It's just going to help with so many things. So SPF is such a huge part. We can also really benefit from just a sheer foundation or tinted moisturizer, something to give a little bit of clarity and texture to the skin, a little concealer under the eyes. If you can groom your brows, put on mascara, a little blush and a little lip balm, a little colored lip balm, you'll look alive. You will look alive. That's it. From a skincare perspective, simplicity is actually key. So it's great for anybody who is in a low capacity season. Simplicity is key. All you need is a good cleanser, a good moisturizer, and a couple good powerful serums. So, like a good vitamin C, a good retinol, and a good exfoliating serum. That's it. And I know it sounds like a lot, but they don't get used all at the same time. It's like simple things. Like the more that we can move away from complexity and move into simplicity is not just good when you're in a low capacity season, it's actually good for you for all of life. So that from an outer beauty perspective, those are the key essentials to take away.
Yeah.
And then from a wellness perspective, let's start with nutrition. Can you just eat the rainbow? I know that sounds like kind of cliche, but the more colors you can have on your plate, it will give you a more diversity in nutrients and vitamins. Emphasize protein and fats because those are going to be great energy sources. So when you're in a low capacity season, you do need energy. So protein and fats are going to be what's going to drive that more than sugar will for many reasons. When I talk about sleep, that sometimes is one of the essentials that is depleted the most when you're in a low capacity season. But I would love for you to consider intentional rest. Intentional rest doesn't also mean sleep, it means rest from stimulation, social rest, creative rest, emotional rest, mental rest. And for women, one of the rests that they need that they actually don't even consider is creative rest. And creative rest doesn't just mean like, oh, I'm going to paint creatively or be creative and create something. Creative rest just means rest from problem solving. If you can just rest for little moments of time from problem solving, think about like if you got a day off from problem solving, Whitney, how would your life change?
I'd feel more free.
Exactly. Creativity is one of the most exhausting things for women, problem solving. So if we can just take a moment and just maybe go in our backyard and look at a tree or look at our potted flowers and not do anything but just look at stuff, that is such a huge way to build yourself up in low capacity seasons. Because almost always you're on high alert from just problem solving and doing all of your day to day moving around. Like when I tell you, my clients have had many of their lives changed by just understanding and becoming aware of that creative rest is needed. It has changed the way that they've been able to navigate their nervous system too, because you can sleep a good night, 8 hours of sleep, but wake up exhausted. And that exhaustion is impacting the way your cells are regenerating and repairing.
This is so good. I feel like we need a part two of our conversation with Sandy because I know we're coming up on time, but I just wanted to share from a practical perspective a couple things that have really helped me. You talk about simplifying your makeup routine. I actually have in my top drawer in my bathroom a small basket, and it's just my 3-minute makeup. And like that's on most days, that's what you'll see me in. And it's not a stressful, like, oh my God, what should I use? It's just like on a day-to-day basis, if I just wanted to throw on a little bit of makeup, I know I can do it in 3 minutes. And it's basically kind of about what you said. And that's helped me. And then I just also wanted to mention your conversation about creative rest speaks to me in so many ways. And from a meditation teacher perspective and just my life, I think it's also important just to have those pauses in the day that interrupt any possible like agitation or momentum of stressy events that are in the day. And sometimes it's such a gift to just give ourselves even I'm talking about 5 minutes. Like sometimes I'll encourage my clients just to go for a walk where they're not trying to accomplish anything on the walk. They're not trying to walk fast to exercise or get their steps. They're not trying to listen and learn to anything. Sometimes it's crazy how hard it is for women just to do something that doesn't require an outcome or productivity or problem solving, but it really does slow that momentum of negativity and give us this chance to connect with ourselves. And I think that's what we're all craving at the end of the day.
100%. And my mission is to help women see how doing these little tiny lifestyle shifts actually impact the way that they show up in their world, like in their beauty and show their light and their glow and their radiance. Like all of these things are the secret weapon, not the serum.
Yes.
This is going to help you age well and look better and firmer on, in your forehead because you're relaxing your muscles from not having to think about things so hard, right?
Mm,
These are the lower hanging fruits that are free that you could employ, and they make such a huge difference to the way you age and the way you look and the what you see in the mirror.
absolutely. And it's just such an important reminder. I know we really agree on this. A lot of women play the like, well, when my kids are a little older, or well, when I have this in place. And it's like, just start now with the small day to day things. You've given so many ideas. And I think some people wait for this perfect time when life stops to start taking care of themselves in a deeper way and connecting with themselves in a more meaningful way. And I think this is going to be a powerful reminder that today's the day to start,
Yeah, and there's never gonna be a season where it's slow. We've already learned that. I mean, if
right?
we've learned anything, there's never like when we're in 2 weeks, things will slow down, and things never slow down in those 2 weeks. And breakthroughs don't happen in big grand gestures. The breakthroughs happen in the micro shifts, the daily micro shifts. That's when breakthrough happens. Transformation lives in those little tiny micro moments.
Beautiful. So at the end of each episode, I invite my guests to share a question that women could be asking themselves more. So I know we've covered a lot of territory, but in terms of aging well, feeling vibrant, feeling alive and connected in our own lives, Sandy, what's one question women could be asking themselves more?
How can I connect with myself even deeper? That's the best thing you can do. Because when you can connect with yourself and deepening that relationship, that is when you start to love yourself more, love what you see in the mirror, have more grace, have more compassion, and the world sees you the way you see you.
It's a beautiful place to end. Thank you. I know my community will want to follow you and learn more. So, where can we find you?
So the easiest place to find me is on Instagram at Sandy Thinnis, just my first and last name. I have a wealth of information about beauty and wellness on my website, sandythinnisbeautyflow.com. And I have some amazing resources and an amazing mini course for women who are just wanting to start understanding how to cultivate a more conscious beauty lifestyle. And what I mean by that is how to implement these small lifestyle shifts to help them love what they see in the mirror, age beautifully. And not only that, but like get clarity, but also get the skills on how to do their makeup and what is the right skincare for them as they are in their journey of beauty.
Wonderful. Well, I know that you are going to have a lot of people checking you out after this conversation. I really appreciate your time and wisdom. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you joined me today. If you're looking for more, feel free to connect with me on Instagram at @WhitneyWoman. And if you enjoyed the show, I invite you to support me by leaving a review or sharing it with a friend. Hope you have an inspired day.